Testing. Shalom, Israel. Testing. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. All right. Welcome to today's short lesson. Happy new moon to those that are observing it. I pray, Israel, that you guys are enjoying and staying in the faith. It's a crazy times we live in. Just want to touch on a little bit of current event and actually link it to what's going on within the nation of Israel right now. All right. It's a lot of divisions among the brothers, a lot of divisions among sisters. But there's also, right, unity also within the nation, right? There are some brothers and sisters that are united in certain things, that do understand the fact that we might differ in certain understanding, we might differ in just how we live our lives, we might come from different background, and we do understand that, and we still are there for each other, all right? Because again, the law of the Lord comes first, all right, over doctrine. All right, none of us has the full understanding of what's going on. You know, until Yahushua comes and correct every single one of us and give us the right way to serve our power, a lot of us have to stay humble and stay diligent in this walk. All right, but I pray all is well with the nation. All right, I know a lot is going on. I haven't been on live too much, just kind of like, doing some background ministry stuff. I pray Israel, you guys are still doing the work on whatever level you can do it on. Pray we still showing love and respect for each other. All right, so today's live is the art of war when allies become adversaries. Right? It is when allies become adversaries. I don't know if some of you guys know, but the nation Iran and the nation of Israel, right, where at one time they were allies. They actually worked together. Iran recognized Israel as a nation. Some of you guys probably know it, especially brothers and sisters in the faith, just doing a little bit of history lesson and just connected it to what's going on and dealing with prophecy. All right, so we're going to go into some articles I'm going to bring out, just demonstrating that, and also going through certain dispensation of time on where the division came, right? And where we are now, right? Even though we know that a lot of these, and I'm not going to go too crazy into it, but a lot of these so-called terrorist groups were funded by America themselves, right? When they felt the need, where they wanted to cause division within certain nations, right? They will fund and advocate and basically arm a lot of these groups, right, to cause division within certain nations that they're trying to infiltrate. All right, but again, I'm not going to go crazy into that. Russia is an example. There's a few other countries that we can go into the history of that, but we're going to kind of keep it simple today, right? I'm here with my son Hashar. All right, go ahead, say shalom. Khan. So I'm here with my son. We're just gonna go ahead and go into this. Give me 1 second, Israel. Let me just do a quick mic check with him real quick. Hey, shalom. Salakia, Israel, Khan. So, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, but it's all good. We're gonna go ahead and go into this. All right, I'm gonna have my son. He's gonna read some article for you guys here, real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Bear with me, Israel. I'm gonna share my screen real quick so you guys can kind of follow up on what we're going to go into. Okay, Salakia. Give me 1 second. Let me do this real quick. All right. So this is from India Today. All right, from India Today. We're gonna, again, like I said, we're gonna bring up some articles and basically just go into the scriptures a little bit. All right. So my son's gonna go ahead and read this article for you guys. And again, bear with us. Okay, bear with us. Go ahead.
Shalom. Iran, Israel's sworn enemy, rained a barrage of missiles on Israel on Tuesday. The Iran-Israel conflict is 4 decades old. However, what might surprise many is that they were once allies who even cooperated militarily and commercially. This is how two allies became sworn enemies.
Khan. So as you guys can see in this article we're reading, right? This is from India Today. It says Israel and Iran, now sworn enemies, tackled a foe together, right? They were together at one point. They had sworn enemies together at one point, believe it or not, right? Ishmael and Esau at some point were allies. I mean, you could see it in histories when you go into the scriptures, when you even go into the book of Maccabees and other parts of the scriptures, they show where they worked together, right? A lot of it was they were working together, right, and conspiring to go against the children of Israel, right? We can see examples of that in the scriptures, and we can see examples of that even through dispensation of time when they worked together for the same cause, right? Believe it or not, at some point they had the same cause, right? I know today a lot of us can't really fathom that, right? Because some people just don't go into history a little bit, even though I'm not a crazy history buff myself, but I think that to understand what's going on in today's society, you do have to go into history a little bit, right? You do have to kind of go through certain things that could have been happening in the past. Some people don't even know this, right? A lot of people will say, oh, they've been enemies forever. They never, were in line together. They never worked together, right? But what we're reading here, and again, we're going to go into some more articles that really demonstrates the fact that at some point, right, these guys were allies together, right? And why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up again to connect it to today's camps among brothers and sisters, right? At some point, you see brothers, have unity camps together. They were allies together. They were stronger together, because that's what it really is. You're all stronger when you work together, right? When you separate and any form of division come amongst you guys, you are weaker as a group. You are weaker as a nation, right? So you never want that to be your story, right? You never ever want that to be your story. You always want it to be that you guys are always in tune with each other. You're working together. You have the same cause in mind. I'm not saying that everybody has to be buddy and always be around each other and, be the best of friends. Absolutely not, right? But you do have to have some type of, you have to have the same cause, right? And you have to have the same mindset to a certain degree if you're looking for the same outcome, right? If you ask brothers right now, oh, do we believe in a prophecy? You ask a brother from one camp about Yahushua coming, right? You ask another brother from another camp, do they believe in Yahushua coming? Of course, they're all going to say yes, right? They're going to agree to it. But understanding what's needed to be done to get that to come to fruition, right? We understand that the kingdom of God is within us, but there are certain things that we have to get into, right, to really trigger Yahushua coming back, right? A lot of it is really just love for each other, unity amongst brothers and sisters, right? And just becoming that peculiar nation, that separated nation, that holy nation, right? Even though we know these fake Jews are advocating and fighting to say that they are the true Jews, which we know they are not. And it's just crazy, this whole situation of what they got going on right now with the war, right? A lot of it is they're trying to fulfill a certain prophecy. And Salakia, Israel, I'm getting something situated here for Facebook. So bear with me real quick. Then we're gonna read a little bit further into this article, right? Because it goes just a little bit further. Then we're gonna go into some other articles, and we're gonna bring out. Salakia, Israel, I hope y'all can hear me now. Salakia. Salakia, my mic went out. Salakia, man, the devil don't want us to bring this information out today, boy. Sheesh. And it's just going out. Salakia. All right, so again, the whole point of this is again to be able to tie back to the scriptures and just dealing with the fact of how we're supposed to be dealing with each other and not be adversary in the sense where we forget the overall purpose of doing the work. All right, overall purpose of us being in unity to a certain point, to be able to at least have the same cause and just fight for that same cause, right? But again, what I was saying earlier is, we understand that these fake Jews claim that they are the real Jews and the real children of Israel, but we know they're not, right? It's a lot. So I'm gonna have my son go ahead and just read the other part to the article. Then we're going to go ahead and bring out some more articles. Then we're going to go into the scriptures. All right? It's a lot to this.
A massive barrage of Iranian missiles lit up the night sky over Israel on Tuesday, pushing the sworn enemies to the brink of an all-out war. While it's no secret that Iran is Israel's sworn enemy, what might surprise many is that they share a very close relationship. They even join forces against a common enemy, a far cry from the furious standoff we see today. To put things in perspective, Iran was the second Muslim country to recognize Israel after it was formed in 1948. To grasp how relations between the two nations reached another and what once brought them to work closely, it's essential to explore the history of Iran-Israel ties to trace the gradual shift from early friendliness to today's open hostility.
Okay, so again, as we can see, right, it says that they were allies at one point. If you look at the second paragraph, it says to put things into perspective, right, Iran was the second Muslim country to recognize Israel, right, after it was formed in 1948. So what happened, right? What happened between these two so-called allies, right? These two countries that were united at one point for the same cause, right? I mean, we're talking about they build military-style weapons together, right? They both advocated for the same things to a certain degree now, even though they do have that understanding that they were two different nations. But I think part of it too is this, right, Israel? Yeah, you got to remember when when the so-called the fake Jews, right, the small hats, when they moved to Palestine, right, they came there being humble, right, and the Palestinians accepted them. And this is the mistake a lot of people make. You'll learn from history, right? You got to go back to a particular nation and just their repetitive. Salakia, just want to turn the music down real quick. Hopefully I can hear me now. But anyways, at some point, right? Let me go ahead and share my screen again so you guys can see exactly what's being brought out. Right? In 1931, right? I'm gonna give you a little bit of history. In 1931, the capital of Palestine was actually Jerusalem back then, right? It was actually Jerusalem. Fast forward down to 1947, 1948, right? When the fake Jews moved over there, right? And they were accepted, right? They had a ship saying about how they were kicked out of Europe and how the Palestine should please. They had a sign on the ship when they pulled up in the ports, right? Saying how they should accept them, back, accept them to the land that they basically have been prosecuted for no apparent reason, right? And the Palestinians felt bad for them, took them in, right? And guess what happens? They took over their land, right? You get settlers all over the place taking over people's lands. That's what they're doing. While the war is going on right now, behind the scene, a lot of things that people are not paying attention to is a lot of settlers are going over there, even though we know the land is not for the Palestinians. That whole area is now, it wasn't promised to them, right? We understand that. But again, I'm just going with the flow of just going through history and just going through certain things that is happening till today, right? But let me pull this back up to the screen so that way you guys can see what we actually reading and where we getting some of this information from. All right. So this first one we read, the very first one we read was from India Today, right? So we're gonna go into another one real quick and bring up a couple more articles here so you guys can kind of follow along on what we're bringing out. All right. So again, you accept certain people to your houses, this is the outcome you're going to get. I do want to bring out a scripture real quick as we go. And a lot of this we can kind of pay attention to and see what not to be like, right? And not let certain things, and a lot of it is minor things. A lot of times when you see camps go against each other, right? A lot of times it's just minute things that could have been resolved without any heavy conflict among each other. But a lot of it is pride. A lot of wars that we see today is all based on pride. A lot of it, right? We're going to bring out a scripture real quick. Okay. Go to Sirach, the 11th chapter. Just, I just want to link scriptures with kind of what I'm bringing out, just to add a little bit of wisdom as we go. But as I do that, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the second article that we're going to be reading from. So Sirach, the 11th chapter and the 34th verse. Sirach 11:34. Give me a second, Israel. I'm going to pull out the next one. We're going to be reading from the next article. But go ahead and read that once you got it.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 11, and verse 34. Receive a stranger into thy house, and he will disturb thee and turn thee out of thy own.
Read that again.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 11, and verse 34. Receive a stranger into thine house, and he will disturb thee and turn thee out of thy own.
Khan, it says, receive a stranger into thy house, right? It says, and he will disturb thee and turn thee out of thine own. That's exactly what happened to these Palestinians, man. They should have learned from the history of these devils and how they function, right? How they move as a people. These are people that are not to be trusted, right? Again, staying in the same book, Sirach 12th chapter talks about that, right? You are not to trust thine enemy. And this is why, even with brothers and sisters today, right? When I talk to them and they just so deeply in love with the other nations, right? You can't sway them out of not loving the hell out of these damn devils, right? You have to bring out scriptures like this to remind them exactly what happens. All right. History repeats itself. So if you in the mindset thinking, hey, listen, man, I'm just going to accept this person and they're going to be good to me and, everything is going to work out and it's going to be like a good thing that I did. Guess what? It can turn around and bite you in the back, right? So we're going to go ahead and read our next article. All right. This is from TBS News. Some of these articles are going to be, again, like I said, older ones. Some of them are going to be newer ones. But the point here is, just to show you a pattern, right, of certain mindset and understanding of certain nations and how they move, right? That's how you know, and that's how you can predict how they're going to function in the future. The Most High put that spirit in them, right? He put that spirit in them. They can't even control themselves. That they have to keep repeating the things and the actions of their forefathers and foremothers, right? Their spirit is just coming back to the earth and just repeating the same thing they did before. It's nothing different. All right, so I'm going to have my son go ahead and read this article real quick. All right, and we're going to come back to it. I'm going to go ahead and try to set up the Facebook. All right, make sure you guys are following us on Facebook. On Facebook, you could just search for Brother Ari, okay, Ari Kazawan, and it should come up, and you can go ahead and follow me there on Facebook. All right, but we're going to go ahead and read this real quick, this article, and we're going to come back with some scriptures and go deeper into this.
This the seeds of conflict, how a historic betrayal laid the groundwork for Iran-Israel enmity. The Iran-Israel conflict did not begin with uranium. Its roots run deep through colonial partitions, imperial betrayals, and shifting alliances that have scarred the region for generations. In the modern Middle East, fire rarely burns without historical kindling. The recent flare-up between Iran and Israel, driven by nuclear anxieties and regional rivalries, is not merely a product of present-day politics. It is the consequence of a century-long sequence of betrayals, colonial blueprints, and shifting alliances. From the colonial lines drawn by Sykes and Picot to the Balfour Declaration's ambiguous premise and the Islamic Revolution that rewrote Iran's foreign policy, the Middle East present is trapped in the echoes of its past. Iran and Israel, once allies, now find themselves on opposite ends of a deepening crisis, one that stretches far beyond nuclear facilities and missile silos. What makes today's hostilities especially ironic is that Iran and Israel were once close allies. In 1950, Iran became the first Muslim-majority nation to recognize Israel, albeit unofficially during the regime of Shah Mohammad Pahlavi. At the time, the two non-Arab nations shared strategic interests. Both were pro-Western, anti-communist, and wary of pan-Arab nationalism. Intelligence was exchanged, oil was traded, and diplomatic missions operated quietly in each other's capitals. But that fragile alliance, like much in the region, would eventually unravel. To understand why, one must go back to the first great fault line of the modern Middle East, the Sykes-Picot Agreement. The Sykes-Picot Agreement, which was the blueprint of chaos. In 1916, at the height of World War I, Britain and France, with the assent of Tsarist Russia, secretly drew up a plan to carve up the Ottoman Empire's Arab provinces after the war. Known as the Sykes-Picot Agreement, it divided the Middle East into British and French spheres of influence, laying the groundwork for modern borders in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and Palestine. The local populations who were promised independence in return for rebelling against the Ottomans were never consulted. The deceit was so blatant that when the Bolsheviks came to power in Russia and exposed the secret deal, Vladimir Lenin famously called it the Agreement of the Colonial Thieves. To the Arab world, it conferred what many feared. Western powers had no intention of honoring their promises. The seeds of mistrust, resentment, and resistance were sown. Just a year later, in 1917, came another decisive moment, the Balfour Declaration, in which the British government expressed support for the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. The statement, made in a letter from Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour to Lord Rothschild, carried a caveat that it must not prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities. In practice, however, the influx of Jewish immigrants to Palestine under British Mandate rule was perceived by Arab residents as a demographic and political threat. The declaration had no concrete plan for coexistence, and the lack of clarity laid the foundation for decades of tension, uprisings, and ultimately the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Thus, the region was destabilized by two back-to-back imperial decisions, one that divided land arbitrarily, Sykes-Picot, and one that promised land to a group without resolving the fate of those already living there, Balfour. Post-Ottoman order was being constructed on sand. Against this backdrop of imperial disruption, Iran and Israel managed a quiet but strategic friendship for 3 decades. But everything changed in 1979, when the Iranian monarchy was overthrown in the Islamic Revolution led by Ayatollah Khomeini. The new regime severed all ties with Israel, expelled its diplomats, and handed over the Israeli embassy in Tehran to the Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO. Israel, once called a partner in a region of development, was now denounced as the little Satan, a symbol of Western imperialism.
Right, Khan. So as you guys can see, right, what happened when you go through this whole thing, right, was primarily trust got broken, right? And that's a lot of times that's what happens when you're dealing with other brothers, right, and sisters, right? They'll do something right to you where you just completely lose that trust for them, right? And all of a sudden you don't trust them. And when you can't trust people and they don't even try in any way to win back your trust, guess what happens, right? You have a tendency of just not even wanting to deal with them anymore, right? You cut them out completely out of your life. And we know that, yes, you're supposed to forgive each other and kind of like move on from certain things, right? But sometimes some brothers and sisters, man, would not even admit that they were wrong, right? They won't admit that they fault you in any way. So guess what? It just build up from there, right? This is why it's so important that we follow the words of Yahushua, right? And how we're supposed to deal with each other and forgive each other, right? And put away that stuff, right? We got Passover coming up for a lot of people, right? Not only are you supposed to take out the leaven out of, your house, right? The physical leaven that we are commanded to do, right? To take out of our home, but the spiritual part also has to play a role in it, right? You got to completely get rid of that stuff and not just do it out of just, oh, well, let me just, out of convenience. Let me just do it because, I just have to do it. No, you got to do it sincerely. All right. So this is very important. So as we can see in the article we just read, trust was broken, right? Promises that were made to the Palestinian were completely broken, right? How can you promise a land to two people at the same time, right? Land that don't even belong to you. But again, it was the British that did that, right? They made promises that they couldn't keep. And guess what happened? That's why to today, we're getting certain conflicts. We're getting certain issues amongst them, right? And this is something that will never end. This conflict we're seeing and that is going on right now will never end until Yahushua comes back. It's just that simple. As much as people will love to see change and end and all that, that is not going to be the case. All right. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bring out the next article real quick. All right. We're going to read one more, then we're going to go into some scriptures. All right. But I just wanted to dive into this just a little bit before, before we go into the scriptures and stuff like that. Now, what I want to do is bring up some articles that showed like what they are, basically the alliance used to look like at some point, right? Because like I said, these were friends, man. These were, nations that, like I said, build weapons together, were there for each other, supported each other, right? Iran was the second Islamic country that basically recognized Israel as a nation. Right, way before other countries that you would think would be in line with the fake Jews over there, right? But let's go ahead. We're gonna go to the next article. We're gonna read this, then we're gonna go into some scriptures real quick. All right. So this is from lustnews.org. Lustnews.org. Again, diving into the alliance that they had between each other at one point. Then after this, we're gonna go into some scriptures and bring out some gospels also. But yeah, give me a second and give the mic to my son.
From allies to adversaries, the complex history of Iran-Israel relations. From 1948 to 1979, the friendly relations for the pre-revolution. On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion, the head of the Jewish Agency, proclaimed the establishment of the State of Israel. At first, Iran did not officially recognize Israel. However, the two countries quietly developed a practical relationship based on shared strategic interests. In 1949, Iran voted against Israel's entry to the United States as a member. Despite initial opposition, shared strategic and political interests led Iran and Israel into a covert working relationship. However, in public, Iran declined to recognize Israel. On March 6, 1950, Iran was one of the first Muslim-majority countries to recognize Israel de facto. Iran reaffirmed its stance in 1949. 1950s to 1970s, under the rule of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi of Iran and Israel, Iran followed a Western-aligned foreign policy during the Cold War and was a key regional ally of the United States. Israel, since it was dependent on American support, found a natural partner in Iran. They developed strong economic and military ties. The alliance, driven by mutual benefits, saw economic, military, and intelligence cooperation between Iran and Israel. Their bond strengthened further because they shared a common interest keeping the communist USSR out of West Asia, with both nations backed by capitalist America. They shared intelligence through a secret alliance known as the Periphery Doctrine, aimed at building ties with non-Arab states in the Middle East that were hostile to pan-Arab nationalism.
Yeah, read slow aloud, okay? Go ahead, buddy.
Iran, along with Turkey and Ethiopia, became a central partner in this strategy. In a secret meeting in 1958, Israeli Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion and Turkish Prime Minister Adnan Menderes formed the so-called Alliance of the Periphery, following which Iran, Turkey, and Israel established a pact known as the Trident. The relationship included intelligence sharing, economic cooperation, and arms trade. Notably, the Israeli spy agency Mossad and Iran's spy agency Savak collaborated closely. Israel also provided military advisors and technical support to Iran, especially during the development of the Iranian military-industrial complex. Cooperate against Arab nationalist threats, especially from countries like Egypt and Iraq.
Right. So as you guys can see, they collaborated on a lot of things. Right. Again, we're just going through some articles real quick. Then after that, we're going to go into some scriptures, just dealing with this and just tying it to prophecy and bringing out the gospels, okay, in regards to these particular points that we're bringing out. All right. So these were nations that were allied at some point, and now they are enemies, right? But how can that happen? Someone asks, right? How can that happen? Right? Again, when you got a people that are just wicked and selfish in nature, you can't turn what's crooked to be straight, man. You just can't. As much as we would love to, right? You just can't do that. It's not in their nature to be that way. All right. And this is why you can't trust them. That's why we went to Sirach, the 11th chapter and the 34th verse. Right? It's just utter madness when people think that, oh yeah, they can trust a certain nation of people that have had a history of just lies, deceit, right? Straight witchcraft. It's just utter madness. All right. So we're going to go into some scriptures real quick, Israel. Bear with us. And again, I pray all is well with the nation. All right. I hope you guys are getting ready for the Passover. I pray that you guys are, staying diligent in this thing and basically just staying away from all forms of wickedness, man. Right. All form of just strives and, anger, jealousy, and just going against each other because this camp has this person or has this thing going on for them. And you feel like your camp is not doing as good, and you just going over here, just finding any way to bring down another brother, bring down another sister. Yes, some people needs to be rebuked, right, and be put in their place, right? But everything don't have to be constant and like take years for you rebuking the same person in the same matter, right? Some things you just move on from. Just say, hey, this is how I see it. This is how I feel about it. If you don't see it that way, hey, that's on you, right? But let's go to Mark chapter 3. We're going to go to Mark chapter 3, and we're going to start at verse 24. Mark 3 and 24. Just talking about what I'm just bringing out, so dealing with the division amongst camps, division among brothers, division among the nation as a whole. All right. A lot of what's going on in the world today, we can learn from. Right. A lot of times I just sit back, pay attention to things. Right. Like I said, do things behind the scene and just pray, fast. Right. That's the spirit a lot of us have to move in as things are changing in the world. Right. Believe it or not, this world is going to completely change after this war. Right. We thought COVID was something. No, wait till this war is over. A lot of things are going to completely change. It is sad, but it is what it is. All right. So read that. Mark 3:24.
It's the book of Mark chapter 3 and verse 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand.
Read it again.
The book of Mark chapter 3 and verse 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand.
Right. And if a kingdom be divided by itself, that kingdom cannot stand. Again, dealing with us as a people, right? We are stronger together. And I'm not saying that everybody's going to get along and all that. And I know brothers always say that, well, you just got to be this way. You just got to, the brothers going to do what they're going to do. Yeah, but that doesn't negate the fact that we still need to teach about that. Right? It doesn't put that away. It doesn't put it away that way we don't have to teach about it. Well, brothers are just going to be themselves. And no, we still have to teach that because what? That's the law, right? Even if we have to be just cordial with each other, right? Nobody has to be best of friends. We don't have to be hanging around each other all the time, right? Just be cordial with each other, respectful with each other, right? When we dealing with certain people that might have a totally different ideology from us, basically just being in the same fight together. Right? Standing for the same thing, which is righteousness according to the law. Right? That's something brothers and sisters can do. Right? But again, I'm adding to what's going on in today's environment and just linking it up to how we can learn from what's going on, how someone can be your friend and become a foe later down the line. Right? Read verse 25.
Verse 25. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand.
Right. And if a house be divided by itself, it cannot stand. Right. With the house of Israel. If we're separated, right, guess what? It's not going to last. Right. Allies to adversaries, that shouldn't be happening in the nation of Israel. We shouldn't have that at all. right? We shouldn't fight and fight against each other, right? We can see the same sentiment when you read in Matthew the 12th chapter and verse 25, right? But we're gonna go to Galatians. Go to Galatians 5 real quick, right? We're gonna go to Galatians 5. We're gonna read a couple of scriptures there, right? We're gonna go to Galatians 5, and we're gonna start at verse. Let me see where I want to start. Start at verse 14. Galatians chapter 5 and verse 14.
This is the book of Galatians, chapter 5, and verse 14. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
What was that?
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Right? You're not going to do anything that is going to jeopardize your life. You're not going to do anything that's going to destroy your own home or your house. Right? That's the spirit we're supposed to be in. Loving our neighbors as ourselves. Right? Read.
But if ye bite and devour one another, take heed that ye be not consumed one of another.
Right. It says, if ye bite and devour one another, right, which is a lot of what happens, right? And this is what happened between the Israelis and the Iranians, right? They were buddies at one point, thinking they were of one house, moving together, have the same adversaries, right? Build weapons together, right? Until the snake showed himself for who they truly are, right? I'm not advocating for Iran, right? That's Ishmael. That's a different nation from our people, right? Those are not our people. They're not even supposed to be in that land to begin with. That's not their land, right? That's our land. You understand? But they'll say, hey, it's the land of Canaan, it's our land, our forefathers has been here. The whole earth is the Israelites, man. Right? But we understand why we're in the situation that we're in and the reason why things are happening the way they are. All right. So we're going to bring up a couple of more scriptures. All right. But that Galatians 5:15 is deep, man. Right? Take heed of it. But a lot of people don't. It's all about, hey, I want to be the top brother. I want to be the top in this. This truth is not about that, man. It ain't got nothing to do with any of us in that sense, one individual person. All right? We have to move in the spirit of Yahushua, which is the spirit of love for his nation. Right? Yahushua truly loved this nation. Let's go to the book of James. James chapter 4. We're going to start at verse 1.
This is the book of James, chapter 4, and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
From whence come wars and fightings among you?
From what?
From whence come wars and fightings among you?
From whence comes war and fighting amongst you? Right? James is talking to the Israelites. From when did that come from? That's not natural to us. It's not natural to our people. We don't go against each other. Right? Read that again from the top.
James chapter 4 and verse 1. From whence come wars and fightings among you?
Read.
Come they not hence, even of your lusts that war in your members?
Right. It says, let me read that again. It says, from whence come war and fighting among you? Come they not hence, even your lusts that are war in your members? Right? A lot of it goes into the lust, right? Of whether it's the lust of just self-exaltation, whether it's the lust of money, right? Because a lot of brothers, some of these brothers do this for lucre gain, right? Oh, the donations that he getting, right? Oh, the recognition that he getting from this brother and his sisters, right? We cannot be like the heathens. We cannot go and fight against each other like the damn heathen, right? We're going to bring up one more scripture, right? I want to go into the gospel a little bit. Then we're going to go into the prophets and linking it to what's going on in today, in the current events of what's happening today right now, right? Dealing with Iran and the U.S. and the Israeli, right? With Israel, right? Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 1 real quick. 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and start at verse 10. Actually, start at verse 9.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 9. God is faithful, by whom ye were called unto the fellowship of his Son, Jesus Christ our Lord.
Right. It says, God is faithful, by whom ye were called out, it says, unto the fellowship of his son, Yahushua Mashiach, our Lord, right? That's who you're called to serve, right? And Yahushua never thought division, right? Yahushua never thought separation in the sense of us as a nation, right? Especially those that are laboring in this walk, in this faith, right? There are to be no division, right? When it comes to that, you understand? So if you're having, divisions that you guys cannot work out, that's a huge problem, right? How can you be a leader or a teacher and you can't even settle differences with brothers? That's weird to me. I don't get it. Right? It's like brothers just bypass certain parts of the scriptures. They see what's happening in the world today, but don't even take heed to it. Right? It means absolutely nothing. I don't care about that. That don't mean nothing to me. Right? Having issues with brothers that they could have worked things out with, sisters that they could have worked things out with. Right? Read.
Now I beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that ye all speak the same thing, and that there be no divisions among you.
Right. It says that ye speak the same thing, which is what? The law, right? Faith in Christ, and basically yielding to the text, not inserting anything in there, right? Yes, there are some things that we might not fully agree with, but it shouldn't be causing division where other nations can look at us and say, look at these fools over there, man. They're talking about they God's chosen people. They think they know the Bible. They think, they can cut people and go into history, archaeology, and they don't know nothing. They can't even get along with each other, right? They can't even get along with each other. So we're going to jump to verse 10. Let me see. Salaki, give me 1 second, Israel. Let me see something. Let me see what I want. Let's skip that. Let's keep that and let's go to Proverbs chapter 6. All right? Because a lot of this stuff are really orchestrated by evil men amongst us, right? A lot of what happened between Iran and Israel, a lot of that were orchestrated by selfish and greedy, wicked men, right? Amongst the nation of Edom and amongst the Iranians too, right? Both sides played a role in this whole thing. Right? But we could see by today's standard, a lot of the aggression, some people can, conclude and say definitely coming from the Iranian side. And some people can say, hey, it's coming strictly really from the Israeli side and the US, right? That they basically were the ones that chose to go to war with Iran, right? But we're going to read this real quick because discord is horrible amongst brothers. Right? That can cause a lot of friction. It can cause a lot of strife. It can cause a lot of war among camps. It can cause a lot of heavy division, right? But we're going to read this real quick. Proverbs, the 6th chapter, start at verse 16. Read.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 6, verse 16. These 6 things doth the Lord hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look.
A what?
A proud look.
Read.
A lying tongue.
A lying tongue. Read.
Hands that shed innocent blood.
And hands that shed innocent blood, right? A lot of the children in Iran, right, in Palestine, right? Some people will say those are innocent blood, right? Children, women, even some men, right? That had absolutely nothing to do with the war, right? But they caught up in it, right? All of a sudden, America would tell you, hey, don't lump all of us as one. But guess what they would do? They will lump every single Iranian as a damn terrorist, right? That's utter madness and confusion and hypocrisy to a different level, right? So we cannot have a lying tongue because that's a lot of what will cause division and strife among brothers is that, right? Gossiping and people just tell-bearing and just whispering and hiding things, and that will cause a lot of division among brothers, right? And it all stems from lie and pride that will trigger things like that, right? Read.
And heart that deviseth wicked imaginations.
And heart that devises wicked imaginations, man. Right? And that can fall into lusting for things lusting for things that were not yours to begin with, right? And that's what the Israeli did, right? They went to a land that wasn't theirs, right? They were welcomed in with open arms, right? They were fed and given, a shelter. And look at them now. Look at the look at the Palestinians now, right? They're losing their land left and right. The settlers are going deeper into their land. I'm talking about beating them out of their houses, murdering their wives, their children, right? Like basically, destroying their homes, right? They will kill children and take pictures of the children's toys. That's who you're dealing with, right? I can go crazy with this stuff and show images and bring out some videos of some of the stuff that these guys are doing, man, right? The IDF. It's just madness, right? They'll turn around and wear the clothes of the women they just murdered, right? Wear their bras, their skirt, right? Just defile human beings we're dealing with. Utter craziness. And these are soldiers, and these are supposed to be God's chosen people, right? Doing stuff like that. But just going back to brothers and sisters, listen, man, whatever differences you might have between a certain group of people or camp, right? Put that to the side, man, right? Don't make 1,000 videos going against each other, fighting each other, right? Causing confusion. If things don't work out, just go your separate ways. Wish them the best, right? Don't hold any, grudges in your heart, right? Just stay faithful. So but what we're going to do is we're going to finish up in Proverbs. We're in Proverbs, the 6th chapter and the 16th verse, all right? Proverbs, the 6th chapter and 16th verse. Salakia, Israel. I would have loved to put the scriptures up here as we go. But we just had a little technical difficulties. It just seems like that's usually the case. But doing the best we can, Israel. Just bear with us. And again, to those that are acknowledging the new moon, I pray you guys have a great and blessed new moon. We kind of started this class a little bit late. I just wanted to bring out some things in regards to this topic, but we're going to go ahead and finish out the reading. Then we're going to bring up a couple of articles, and we're going to kind of like wrap things up. I'm going to try to speak through some of the stuff that I got as quick as I can, and then we're going to wrap things up. So finish that. Proverbs 6, 16 on down. Read the next verse.
Feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren.
Right, a false witness that speaks. These are all the laws that Paul is talking about, right? When he wrote this letter to the church of Corinth, he was tapping into the law, right? Someone that bears a false report about somebody, right? A lot of that probably happened during the different dispensation of time to cause their relationship between the Iranians and the Israelis to be what it is today, right? All of it just didn't happen at one go. It took time, right? It was a back and forth thing, lies being said about each other, right? Trust being broken amongst them. A lot of that, I'm sure, was going on behind the scenes, right? For it to get it to this point. This wasn't something that just happened all of a sudden, all right? This wasn't something that just happened all of a sudden. Again, Israel, make sure you guys are following us. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so. All right, make sure you're following and sharing the stream so other people can get a little bit of edification we're bringing out here. Just make sure that you guys are also following us on Facebook at Brother Ari. It's Ari Kazawan on Facebook. Make sure you guys are following us on there so that way you guys can get updates on certain things that we're bringing out. All right. Now we're going to go into a little bit into the peak of their cooperation with each other. I think this was around the 1950s. I think 1953 to 1979, I would say that a lot of the cooperation was going on with the Iranians and the Israeli, right? They did a lot of trades together, arms deal together, right? Intelligence sharing. They were doing a lot of that together. Diplomatic coordinations. They did a lot of that together. But we see what the outcome is now, right? These are a nation going against each other. And it's just crazy right now. But anyways, let me go ahead and bring up another article real quick, Israel. Slakia. We're going to bring up another article and just go into this a little bit more, all right? But I think you guys get the point, man. Right? We got to get away from that spirit of division, spirit of murmuring, hate amongst each other. We got to get rid of that, man, because that does nothing but cause problems among a nation. All right. So what we're doing here is taking an example from what that what's going on, this conflict within these two nations, and how we can learn from some of this stuff that is going on. All right. Give me a second, Israel. Just trying to change the article real quick. And I'm going to have my son go ahead and read it. And we're going to go into it. Give me a second. Let this thing load up real quick. All right. Well, yeah, man, it's a lot going on in the world. We have to stay diligent. We have to pay attention to the times. All right. Pay attention, man, to what's going on. All right, Israel. Yeah, it's a lot of division, man. A lot of division. A lot of division. Salakia. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and read a little bit of this article here. All right, I'm gonna try to speed up through this thing so that way we can wrap up for the night. If I have to do a second part to it, we'll go into it. All right, but this is from the Times of Israel, right? The Times of Israel. Read.
Iran and Israel, from allies to arch foes. After close cooperation during the rule of the Shah, the 1979 Islamic Revolution changed everything and turned Iran into an existential threat to the Jewish state. They were allies when Iran was ruled by the Shah, but became foes after its Islamic Revolution in 1979.
Right, they were allies when Iran were ruled by Shah. Right, and if you go into some of, and you know what's crazy? If you guys go into some of the older videos, like in the 70s, right? Iran was a totally different nation, right? The women did not wear hijab. They dressed like a Western woman, right? But you know what's crazy? I guess, things changed, right? Ideology changed, leadership changed, right? They put in a leader that moved more on a spiritual standpoint and basically wanted to bring his nation back to their religion, understanding of how they're supposed to carry themselves as a people, right? But with that also came certain laws, right, that they followed. And some of those were very strict on women and, children and men and people as a whole, right? And some things that they did amongst their people, right, there are reports of this, were very horrifying, right? But again, we understand what we're dealing with here. That's why I said, Iran is not innocent in this whole thing, right? So you're dealing with a situation where they were allies back in the 70s when Shah of Iran was ruling at that time, right? And now they've become foe, and that's crazy, right? Read.
And now Israel considers Iran an existential threat. After Israeli strikes on Iranian targets inside Syria this week sent regional tensions soaring. Here's a recap of their volatile relationship in the past half century.
Right, so we're going to stop there just for the sake of time. You guys can go ahead and read the articles on your own. All right, I'm going to try to put it in the description so you guys can basically go ahead and read it at your own time if you want to just kind of follow up on what we're doing. All right, just for the sake of time, I have to kind of expedite things a little bit, so just bear with us. Let me see if I can get the next article. All right, real quick, see if I can get the next one, and we're gonna put it up here. Salakia, get this. Salakia. I wanted to kind of get an article that goes into the history and how they even got to this point. You know what? We're just going to stop here, to be honest with you. And the reason being is because I don't want to drag this too long. I don't want to drag it too long. But like I said, I'll put the links to the articles on some of the the videos and some of the videos that I have on there, just going into this, because again, this lesson will take a lot longer. But the point is, Israel, you guys already got the point of what I'm bringing out. Basically, let's stay focused. Stay the course, stay diligent, show love to one another, right? Stay away from division, right? Again, like I said, I do understand that we're not going to get along in every aspect of this walk, but again, we have to, put that spirit out there and that message of unity, right? Brothers we got to keep teaching that as much as we can, right? And again, when we say unity, we're not saying that you have to be in line with that person every single second. We're not saying that, right? We're not saying that at all. So I pray through the Spirit, you guys, learn something from this. You guys can visit all the scriptures that goes into the brotherly part of it, the sisterly part of it, the laws part of it. You can go to Titus, the 3rd chapter, I think the 10th verse on down talks about that. Romans, the 16th chapter. 1 Corinthians, the 11th chapter, just dealing with the division among us and how we need to stay away from that spirit, right? Philippians, the 2nd chapter, the 3rd verse, just dealing with the fact that we are not to do things out of strife, right? And vainglory. A lot of times brothers move in that spirit. It's all about pride and what you could do better than this person, and you basically being on top of everything in the sense of when it comes to dealings or things that has to do with the nation, right? Psalms 133, a classic, right? How good, right? For brethren to dwell together in unity. That's extremely important. That spirit of brotherhood got to still be there, right? Even though there are things that has happened within the nation, a lot of divisions, a lot of accusation, we still got to teach unity, because we don't want to fall like the heathens, man. We don't want to fall into the trap of what they're dealing with right now, right? They're dealing with a lot of divisions among themselves. They're going back and forth, strife, right? Hate for each other, missiles flying left and right from one side of the world to the other, right? Just complete division, right? When you read James, the 3rd chapter, it talks about where envy and strife is, right? There's confusion, right? And when you read in 1 Corinthians, we're supposed to do things decently and in order. Confusion is not order, right? Proverbs, the 13th chapter, only by pride cometh contention, right? Only by pride. That's what triggers that. So if you're moving in the spirit of pride, guess what you're going to do? You're going to have heavy contention with your brother, right? Heavy contention. You read Matthew, the 24th chapter and the 10th verse. It says, many shall offend, it says, and betray one another. That's what's happening in these last days, man. Right? Brothers betraying each other, going, against each other. It's Salakia, Israel, that I'm paraphrasing. I just want to kind of go through this a little bit faster so this lesson is not extremely long, right? And we understand that a lot of this is going to happen in these last days. Micah, the 7th chapter, the 5th verse, right? A man's enemy, right, are going to be one of his own house, right? It's not necessarily dealing with your own household, with your wife and your children. It's dealing with the nation too, as a whole. That's going into that, right? That's going heavily into that. All right, so Israel, let's stay humble in this walk, right? Let's stay diligent, right? Let's stay humble, man, and do this thing, right? Don't fall into the trap of these other nations, right? Let's not go into that, right? When you read Luke, this 21st chapter, I think it's verse 15 on down, it goes into how, people are going to betray each other, right? Parents are going to betray their children. Children are going to betray their parents. Like, there's going to be a lot of confusion in these last days, right? And this goes back to the beginning, even dealing with Joseph, where Joseph was sold by his brothers, right? That was just wickedness right there. I think that's Genesis, the 37th chapter, right? Let's read another scripture. Go to Judges real quick. We're going to bring up a couple of scriptures real quick, just talking about this. We brought up enough. I have so many articles I wanted to bring up. I had a lot of images I wanted to bring up, a lot of things I wanted to, bring up here. But again, because of the time constraint, we're just going to kind of skip through things a little bit. All right. But you guys can basically go back and check out the stream. And not only that, you can also go into some of the, I will, most high willing, if I remember, I will put a lot of the links of what was brought out today into the chat. If you're on Facebook, make sure you know, because we're showing some things, some articles were brought up, some information were brought up on the live stream on YouTube. All right. But unfortunately, I didn't have it streaming directly on Facebook. Okay. So if you guys want to watch the actual video, you can go on YouTube. Just all you have to do is search Set Apart Network, and it should come up. All right. Set Apart Network, and it should come up. But we're going to do this. We're going to read Judges, the 20th chapter, and start at verse 12. Judges 20 and verse 12. And make sure you guys are, taking down these scriptures. All right. Because you can always go back to it and kind of like link it up to what we brought out. Also, brothers and sisters, man, if you guys have any precept to not just the lesson, but to what's going on in the world right now, you guys can also put it in the chat. Also on Facebook, you could do that. You can put that on the chat, on the message also. All right. If you have any precept to add to what was brought out, make sure you guys go ahead and do that. All right. Again, we appreciate you guys for joining us today on today's stream. All right. So we're going to Judges, the 20th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 12. Judges 20 and verse 12.
It's the book of Judges, chapter 20 and verse 12. And the tribes of Israel sent men through all the tribe of Benjamin, saying, What wickedness is this that is done among you?
Read that again from the top.
Book of Judges, chapter 20 and verse 12. And the tribes of Israel sent men through all the tribe of Benjamin, saying, What wickedness is this that is done among you?
Read on.
Now therefore deliver us the men, the children of Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death, and put away evil from Israel. But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the cities unto Gibeah, to go out to battle against the children of Israel.
Salakia. Let me see. Salakia. Okay, so basically, as you can see, right, it was wickedness that came upon the children of Israel, right? Dealing with the children of Benjamin from the tribe of Benjamin. And guess what? If you guys read on, that's what led them to war, right? Because of pure wickedness. And this is why we have to read that out of our society and out of our nation, right? I just stopped there, but you guys can read in context. You can go back to that story and read what occurred and the outcome of it, right? You guys can go into that, all right? Even dealing with stories that we know of in Matthew's the 26th chapter, I think it's 14 on down, dealing with Judas Iscariot and Yahushua and how he betrayed Yahushua, right? That was the spirit of just jealousy and just lucre gain. Like he just wanted to get paid, right? He money had just taken over him, right? Money just ruled over him, right? When we even dealing with Esau, we read all the time, Obadiah. When you read verse 10 on down to about, I think, 12, where it talks about the violence against thy brother, right? They broke the covenant between their brother because of the wickedness and the perpetual hatred they had for the children of Israel. All right. So when Christians come and, try to pull this whole argument of, hey, we're brothers and all that, Esau was our brother. Guess what? They broke the brotherly covenant, right? That's what happened. But we're going to bring up another scripture. Go to 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter. All right. Trying to bring out a couple of scriptures because that's what this platform is really about, man. All right. Yeah, we can go into what's going on, the folly in the world, right? Nations going against each other, hate amongst people, right? But ultimately, our primary job as Israelite men, right, and women, right, is to teach the word of God, right? To wake up our people and take that veil off the eye, right? To serve the one and true God, the one and true power. Because everything that is happening in this world is orchestrated by the Father. Nobody else has any authority or power over what's going on. But let's bring this out. 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter, and start at verse 1.
It's the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 3, and verse 1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God.
Right. That's exactly what's going on, man. Right. It says this know also that in the last days, right, perilous times shall come. It says, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetousness, boasters, proud, blasphemers, right? Disobedience to parents, unthankful, unholy, right? That's the spirit that they're dealing with too, right? Ungrateful people that were welcomed to a land that didn't belong to them, right? They were welcomed, they were taken care of, and this is how they pay the Palestinians, man, by bombing the hell out of Gaza. Gaza looks like a hellhole right now, right? But guess what, though? The Most High is going to judge every single nation, even the Ishmaelite. They're going to get judged, right? Every single nation on this earth is going to be judged. It says, without natural affection, truce breakers, right? We know Esau is known for that. They break every treaty they ever had, man. These guys never stick to anything. They are liars. They are not to be trusted. Same thing with the Ishmaelites too, right? Don't think because they're the victim, if people want to call them that in this situation, don't think for 1 second that if they have the opportunity, they won't be doing the same thing to the other nation. An example of that, I'm gonna give you guys an example real quick. An example of that is what's going on in Europe right now, right? UK is a bum. It's just a hell crappy hole right now, right? The Muslims have taken over that whole nation, right? Then you got Edomites, right? Basically advocating to get rid of them, right? They're advocating to completely annihilate and get rid of them. They don't want no more, Muslims coming to their countries. They want to be done with immigration, right? But when it benefits them, oh yeah, they want immigrants. When they can profit, from immigrants, right? Oh, as long as you come in and assimilate yourself to our society, you're welcome. Guess what? Islam is not a religion of assimilation, man. Right? They want to push Sharia law in your country. That's what their whole agenda is, right? This is why even in America, they're trying to outlaw Sharia law. I know Texas have made some initiatives in doing that, right? But again, just going back to the scriptures, you got truce breakers. That happens in the nation of Israel too, right? Brothers and sisters do that. They'll make agreement with each other and completely, fall out. And now they are just arch enemy of each other, right? Make 1,000 videos about each other, whether it's a business that went wrong, or whether it's just a basic agreement on doing something that went wrong, right? It says false accusers, right? Inconstant, it says fierce, it says despisers of those that are good, right? They move in that spirit too. They see anything that is righteous, anything that is good, they completely despise it. They hate it. They don't want you dealing, with them, right? Because again, they have that spirit of wickedness in them. It says traitors, it says heaters, it says high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, right? You have some of those people are wearing fringes today, right? Lovers of themselves rather than lovers of God, right? But what we're seeing is nothing new, right? What we're seeing is nothing new. I know, like when we go into, I think Isaiah the 19th chapter, right? It talks about setting the Egyptians against the Egyptian. Primarily when brothers teach that, that's going into one nation dealing with each other. Really, America, right? Modern day America, right? But we know that can go into a scenario like this also, right? Friends before and foes now, right? Ezekiel the 38th chapter deals with that. Dealing with the fact that there's going to be sword against each other, sword against brothers, right? Second Ezra, chapter 13 goes into that heavily. That whole chapter goes into prophecies in the last days. All right, I'm just giving you guys scriptures again because of the sake of time. we can't really go into the scriptures. But again, you guys can always go behind me and check all the stuff that's being brought out, right? Again, like I said, I will put some of the links of today's class, of today's lesson, or whatever you want to call it, that we brought out. I would love to really dive more into this stuff. There is so much information just dealing with Israel, dealing with the U.S., dealing with Iran, right? So Jeremiah speaks about this. This is heavily in the prophecy. Jeremiah, the 9th chapter, you could read from verse 1 on down, deals with that, just dealing with brothers, utterly supplanting each other, right? Isaiah, the 9th chapter, right there, again, that whole chapter, man, you read down a little bit, just talks about how it says they shall eat, every man the flesh of his own arm, right? Like, there's going to be a lot of wickedness, a lot of stuff going on. We got to stay diligent, pay attention to these prophecies, right? Matthew's the 10th chapter, you go into the New Testament, the 21st verse, right? Just dealing with, conflict among brothers, right? That also, we know, goes into sisters, right? Luke, the 12th chapter, division among within the household. Again, that can go into the nation, right? Daniel, the 11th chapter, just talks a little bit about corruption and division. All right. But anyways, man, I think you guys get the point. All praises and glory to the Most High. All right. Do not reject the truth, man. Isaiah, the 30th chapter, prophesied about this, 10 verse on down, right? Prophesied that this is going to be happening in the last days, right? Like what we read in Timothy, 2 Timothy, right? Do not turn away from the truth. Stay diligent, right? Stay faithful in this walk. No matter what happened, stay diligent and faithful. Continue to love one another. On to the next one. Kom Yasharala Israel. Remember, we still got next. And my son is going to say shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. God.